Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Aren't you in luck? Today we're going to be taking a look at the super awesome, highly elusive, and just downright metal solo from Warlock's All We Are, recorded in 1987. So grab a guitar, let's get going. Alright guys, so just a couple things I want to mention before we get into the solo itself that you probably should be aware of if you're trying to get this to sound as close to studio quality as possible. First things first, this song, despite contrary belief, is not in standard tuning and it's also not in E-flat. That's right. This thing was actually recorded in A432, and what that is, that sits somewhere in between. So to get that kind of tuning, you really need to use a digital tuner to get there. This guitar is tuned to A432, so I mean, kind of the old school way to do this. Here's an A if you want to tune to me. But that's going to be how you get the actual sound to sound just like the album. Otherwise, whatever you do, I mean, do this in standard, or you can do this down half a step. It really doesn't make a difference, but it won't sound totally in sync with the album version for that exact reason, because it was recorded in A432. So keep that in mind. It's in natural temperament. Now, the other thing you need to know about this solo before you get going is you're absolutely 100% going to need a guitar with a wiggly stick, preferably some kind of locking tuner. This here is a Kaler. It stays in tune. It does the fluttery vibrato thing I'm looking for. Anything with a Floyd Rose would be absolutely perfect as well. Just make sure you've got a guitar that's equipped with a trem that can take some pretty serious abuse, because this solo is just violent with the trem. The other thing you're going to want to make sure is you have a guitar with 24 frets. I made the mistake of transcribing this using a 22 fret guitar to start off, and when you get near the end of the solo, you're going to find there's bends up on the 23rd fret, and you're going to be cursing if you don't have the right guitar. So save yourself the hassle, grab a guitar with 24 frets, you'll be happier, trust me. Oh, one more thing worth mentioning. If you are playing, something with a Floyd Rose, see the little collar here? If you have one of these screw-in collars, make sure this is really tight and you want the bar super tight so it doesn't move around much. Just trust me, to get that whole fluttery effect like this, the tighter the bar is, the tighter all the contact is, will make this just much easier, because if you don't and it gets loose, it'll just kill that flutter sustain, and you really don't want that. Trust me. Anyway, that's everything. Let's get going. Alright guys, so we're going to break this down into sections just to make this whole solo a little bit easier. The entire solo is based around, more or less, F minor, and the guitar player that put it down is using mostly pentatonic shapes with a little bit of the Aeolian stuff in there. But don't worry if this is all gibberish to you. I'll explain exactly what he's doing and show you how to do it, more importantly. So first things first, before the solo actually starts, you're going to hear kind of like a reverse dive bomb on the actual studio recording. Now, there were two guitar players in this band, so I don't think it's the guitar player who was soloing, but this is something you can do if you want to before the solo actually even starts, and it sounds kind of like this. That kind of noise. And all I'm doing, guys, is I'm kind of on my G string here, and I'm just going to kind of dip my bar down, flick my G string. I'm using just my index finger to do that, and then with just the fleshy bit of my, my ring finger here, I'm resting kind of not quite at the 15th fret, a little bit behind it, kind of like the 14.7th fret, if that makes any sense. Catching it, bringing it up, and then diving it back down. That's how I'm getting my harmonic. That is something you hear right before the solo starts, so you can either add that if you want or skip over it if you don't want to do that, but I can hear it there. It sounds kind of cool, and it's totally doable if you want to incorporate that. Anyway, let's go on to section one. Alright guys, section one should look and sound kind of like this. Okay, now one thing I'm going to say, guys, when you're doing this, just really pay attention to what you're doing with your bar. It's really easy for a lot of these strings to ring out unwanted and just create tons and tons of other noise and sympathy harmonics that are really bad and hard to control, really, when you're doing the solo. So just really pay attention to your left hand muting, use your right hand muting, just and try to be clever with what you're doing with the bar. Anyway, so the first little bit of that lick is this. Okay, and all I'm doing, guys, I'm going to start this off with the unison bend, so we're on the 13th fret of my high string and the 16th fret of my B string, and I'm just going to bend that B string up to the F, so full step bend, which creates the unison with that 13th fret on the high E. So we got this. And then you bend it back down, and then bend it back up again, and put bar vibrato on it. So we got this. Okay? Now I'm going to be honest with you, when you listen to the studio recording, I don't actually hear that 13th fret high E note doing that bend. I've seen other people transcribe it this way. A lot of people seem to put that in their solos. It sounds pretty cool, but on the recording, I don't think it's there. So if you wanted to just play it like that, I think that's also acceptable. So just use your ears, choose whatever feels best for you, and go ahead and do that. Anyway, so we got that part done. Okay, so the next part of section 1 is this. Okay, I know that looks like witchcraft. It's not. All I'm doing, guys, is I'm gonna dip my bar down and I'm gonna hammer on out of nowhere to the 15th fret on my G string. Like that, okay? And all it is down, hammer on out of nowhere, pull up, release, push the bar down again, hammer on out of nowhere to the 13th fret on the G string, and pull up again. Okay, so we got this sort of thing. Okay, kind of wonky, kind of crazy. These are kind of like, I guess, ghost hammer-ons or ghost notes. And it should sound like that if you get them right. Really focus on just hitting those perfectly in square and not touching the other strings. Otherwise, you're going to get all that nasty harmonic crap you really don't want. So up to that point, we've kind of got this. Okay, now from there, what you're going to do is this little lick here. And again, this is just like that lick we played at the very beginning. You're just going to grab the 16th fret, bend it up a full step, down, up a full step, and then put some bar vibrato on it. So just like that, okay? So all together for this section, we've got this. Okay, and that is all of section 1. Section 2. All right, guys, section 2 is a doozy. Should look and sound kind of like this. Okay, now I'm not going to lie, this is probably the hardest section of the entire solo just because it's really hard to control unwanted noise. So really focus on what you're doing. Try and be as clean as you can be with your note placement, and this will go much more smoothly, I promise. Okay, guys, so to start this off, we're going to play on the 15th fret here on the D string, hammer on out of nowhere, flutter, okay. 13th fret of your G string, hammer on out of nowhere, flutter. Whoops, don't flutter that aggressive. See the unwanted noise you get? There we go. And then again, we're gonna hammer out of nowhere onto the 15th fret of the G string and flutter again. Now this one's interesting. When you hit that flutter, bend it up a full step and then grab the bar and put some vibrato on it, okay? So kind of that sort of thing, all right? All right, so after you've kind of got the that thing going on, what you're gonna do is bend that back down to the 15 and just keep your hand there, hold that 15, do a flutter again, pull off to the 13 and do another flutter. Okay, so that kind of thing. All right, and then once you've gotten that far, what you're gonna do is grab that 15 again, pick it, bend it up again, bring it down to 15, release to 13, and then grab there on the 15th fret of your D string and put some bar vibrato on it, okay? So that whole little lick should look and sound kind of like this. Okay, and important too when you get that last D string there, that 15th fret on the D, it's another one of those fluttery things. It's tricky. Again, work on using the side of your hand to try and mute things you're not playing, but you don't want it to kill the strings from doing that fluttery thing. It's hard, just take your time. You will get it. It's quite frustrating. All right, guys, this section is definitely the hardest section to hear on the actual studio recording. There's a lot of ambient noise and a lot of dead notes. So it's really tricky to pick out, but this is what I think is being played underneath. I spent a lot of time and I really slowed this down on my DAW, so I think I'm pretty close to what the guitar player was probably aiming to do. Anyway, it should look and sound kind of like this. Okay, and all I'm doing to start this thing off is we're doing a sweep. I know. It's not a hard sweep though, it's just this little guy right here. And all that is we're playing on the 15th fret of the D string. We've got the 13th fret of the G string and the 13th fret of the B string. And for those of you that know your music theory, you're going, hey, that spells F minor. And you're right, and we're in the key of F minor. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So that's the first little sweep. All right, guys, following that, we have another sweep, which is this one. Okay, and for those of you that know music theory, we are now sweeping A flat major, which makes sense, relative major of F minor. So we've got F minor, and then we come over here and do that one right there, which is, of course, A flat major. And for those of you that don't know the fingerings, all that is I'm up here and I'm doing the 18th fret on the D string. I'm doing down here and I'm doing the, what is that, 17th fret on my G string. And then B string 16th fret. You can also think of it just kind of like this shape here, or good old bar shape to make kind of a bar chord. That sort of thing. It's the same shape, just a fragment of that, okay? Anyway, so up to this point we have our F minor. Then we come up here and we do our A flat major. And when you do that, when you land on that last note there on the B string, what I want you to do is hammer on up here onto the 18th fret, okay? So we got this. And then pluck it again. So I'm hearing it twice in the recording, okay? So we have this all together. Okay? And then following that, I've got this. All right, so all you're gonna do after you finish that off, and you do that kind of hammer on and double note thing, is you're gonna come up here onto the 20th fret of your B string, pluck that once, pluck it a second time, bend it up a half step, and once you get it up a full, or not a full step, but a half step, grab your bar and put some bar vibrato on it. So, just like that, okay? So the whole little phrase up to that point should look like this. Okay? Alright guys, the next section is this thing. And it's a sweep. I'm sorry. So all this is, guys, is we're now doing a C major sweep, but we're going to be starting it up here on the 21st fret of your G string. So 21st fret G, sweep down to the 21st fret of your B, and then sweep down again to the E string here on the 19th fret. So now as soon as you get down to the bottom, you're going to want to kind of hammer and play that note right there, which is your 23rd fret on the high string. So kind of a... And as soon as you do it, you're going to want to bend it up a full step, okay? So... And then pull it back down, pull it back up again, okay? So kind of a bend up, bend down, bend up, and then when you get it to the top again, you're going to put some bar vibrato on it. So it'll be kind of a... that sort of thing, okay? This is kind of a little nasty one to get under your fingers, but it sounds pretty spot on to the recording if you can do it. So just take your time. You will get it, just be patient, play it slowly. Alright guys, so the very last section is this kind of noisy junk thing, and it sounds pretty cool, but it's really hard to keep these strings muted, but it should be kind of like this. That sort of thing. Okay, so we got that 23rd bent up essentially to the 25th fret. Play that, hit your bar, release that down, and you're going to come back down here to your index finger on the E string at the 20th fret, pluck that once, and you got it more vibrato with the bar. That's just plain violent. Okay, and then you're going to grab right here on the 21st fret. You can pluck that again, and yeah, more violent vibrato. And then this is the last little bit of the lick. Okay, and all we're doing here is just doing that kind of bend up, come down, bend up thing, and then put more vibrato on it. And yeah, all I'm doing for that, guys, I'm just grabbing the 23rd fret of the high string, bending it up essentially to the 25th, bringing it back down, plucking it again, bending it up slowly, grabbing the bar and putting my vibrato on it. So this kind of thing. Okay, so that whole lick should look and sound kind of like this. Okay, so the bonus harmonic thing you heard. Now I'm going to tell you right now what I did in the take I did at the beginning of this video isn't exactly what's on the studio recording. What's on the studio recording, you can hear it. It was definitely added after the take had been done. And what it sounds like to me is kind of that, something along the lines of that Van Halen trick. You know, the, what is it? I think it's something like... that kind of harmonic trick. That's pretty much impossible to do in the middle of a solo. So what I'm doing is essentially cheating. Anyway guys, what I'm doing to get around this is I'm playing a couple of harmonics and blending them together. That's why you saw two guitars in that intro take thing. This is kind of my way of making an approximation of that and being able to sort of do it in a repeatable way during a take. First one is this. That harmonic, and all that is, guys, is that's the D string and the G string both up here at the 10th fret. And I'm doing kind of a reverse dive bomb. So you dump the bar, you flick those two strings, and then I'm using my ring finger, and I'm using just kind of the fleshy bit of my ring finger. You just try and tap really gently just over those two frets. And that should hopefully get the harmonic to catch, okay? So that's the first location I'm doing it. The next location is this one. And all I'm doing for this one is same thing, but this time we're up here at the 17th fret. I'm going to be using the G string and the B string. And same thing, just dump the bar, flick those two strings, try and catch the harmonic. And I'm actually pulling the bar up a bit as well to push it a little bit beyond. And that's kind of getting me the approximation for those interesting kind of ghostly harmonics that are being played. Again, I think that was added post-production, and it was done using kind of Eddie Van Halen's elephant trick or whatever. But this works, and it'll get you through in a pinch. Okay, cool. Well, congratulations. You have made it to the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found this useful. I hope you learned something. If you did, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. It really helps me keep motivated to make these videos, and it's free for you, all right? Anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this little lesson, and just keep on shredding, and we will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.